Hi guys, welcome to Bone Fragments. It's Jared here again. In this video we are finally announcing the full details of the CRL. That's the conventional rotary launcher for the Revel 148 scale B1B. Yes, the launch of the launcher is actually here after all this time. So let's get started. Okay, so what exactly is the CRL? Well, it's the LAU 144 multi-purpose rotary launcher, or conventional rotary launcher CRL as it's also known. It's the 8-station rotating store carrier that can fit in any of the 3 of the B1B's weapons bays. Okay, here's some renders of the 3D design. This is designed in Fusion 360 by myself. So this sort of shows the CRL, the full thing from various angles. This is the front, and this is the rear. This is the right side, left side, and the bottom side view. Okay, let's have a look at the parts that make up the CRL. The CRL has a front section, a middle section, and in the rear section. It's got end plates at the rear and the front. It has electronic control boxes on the top, bottom, and right side. We've got a little table slash slab that the top box fits onto. We have the ECS control piping, that's the environmental cooling or control system that goes around the shaft here to provide cooling to all the components. That actually comes in through the jet from the rear, through the internal, out into this square shaped pipe arrangement, and then is piped up to the front. And then around the central core we've got the 8 BRU 56s. More on those in a minute. Here's a look at the CRL from the right side. You can see more of the boxes here, and the colored view here shows the actual parts breakdown in the sets. You'll see those as we get into the different parts. Again, the parts break down in the different colors. Okay, the BRU 56s. These are the heart of the CRL set. So BRU stands for Bomb Release Unit. This has 30-inch space lugs on the real jet to accommodate larger munitions like 2,000 pound GBU 31s and AGM 158 JASSMs. The pistons, these silver parts here, actually fit up inside and up into these housings inside the bomb rack, and we've got squib charges that go in here that actually fire those pistons down to push the munition away from the rack. Underneath here we've got the lugs. They fit in there. That's where the lugs on the bombs actually go into those, and those lugs connect, fold up to keep their munition in place, and then it's ejected. The BRU 56s have the interface at the back here, which actually connects. Well, this is a storage part for it while it's until it's in use. So that connector there actually comes off and goes onto the bomb itself. That's the interface, so it can get its updated GPS coordinates, etc. Here's a look at the actual render and the 3D version of it. So this is how it was designed in all these various components in Fusion. It was actually designed at 1:1 scale and then shrunk down to 48th to get every last little detail on it. Okay, here's the original kit CRL. It comes with an 8 SRAM missiles, that's short range attack missiles, AGM 69A nukes. They're not shown in the picture here. As you can see, the one that came with the kit is pretty sparse. The kit was designed around the nuclear SRAM missiles, and so they're not even appropriate for any of today's models of the B1B. As soon as you got the grey scheme and it was operated by Air Combat Command, B1B lost its nuclear mission. So what can the actual CRL set look like once in and complete? Here we go. So this is a completed kit. This was made by a good friend Glenn McCracken out of New Zealand. So Glenn has kindly done a build for us on one of these to test it out from a modeler who didn't know how it was built, and to make sure that it all went together properly and there were no issues. So many thanks to Glenn for helping us out here. So as you can see, this is the CRL built, painted and installed in one of the weapons bays from the kit. So you just go back and have a look. That's what comes in the kit. This is what you can build. Now I do note here that Glenn has super detailed the ends of the weapons bay here, so that is not included in the kit. Okay, 4 versions. We're releasing 4 versions of the CRL set. They're all printed in 3D resin printers using 0.2 micron layer heights, and we've got a 35 micron XY resolution. So that's how we're able to get such tiny details in it. Okay, the kits are BF48007 and each of the subsequent versions for them. So the kit contents, all the parts are fully 3D printed. The super detailed BRU56 versions, racks in some of the versions. There are also solid BRU56 for mounting with stores, separate control boxes. The holes in the control boxes and the wiring, etc., are 0.15 mil for scale wiring. Rear cones, the rear part has with or without molded in rods, so you can use either the molded in ones that come, just paint those, or you have the option to replace those with metal parts. Separate piping, easy to remove supports, and alignment tabs for ease of assembly. The wires and metal rods are only included in the exclusive version, so no wires or rods are included in all other versions. So the base version is basically designed for mounting in the bay with stores. They contain solid BRU56s with not as many details as the full version. That's because once you've got a weapon on there, you can't see the details. So it just gives an option for a cheaper version. It has the rear cone with molded rods, and only the mounting tabs to be able to mount it in the weapons bays. The enhanced version, that's the version that comes with either ability to display in the weapons bay or as a standalone external display. So it's got the super detailed BRU56s, 9 of those. So we've got 3 racks of 3 there. Because they're so tiny, we've got fragile details on them, we've put an extra one in every one, so that if you make a little mistake or you've got a little problem with one of them, you've got a spare in there. Also gives you a good option to practice removing. So this has the option, as I said, to mount in the bay or out of the bay and on display. The fully optioned version. So this version contains all the parts that we make for this, except for those included in the exclusive version. So this is 48007F for full. So this version has both the ability to mount internally in the bays with the mounting tabs, or externally for display. It's got the end parts for display or mounting. It has both types of rear cones, so with or without the wiring. So if you want to put your own metal control rods at the end, you've got that option. and for a limited time, very few limited numbers, the limited exclusive version will come with the wiring and the metal rods and a 0.15 millimeter drill bit for drilling out holes, and a custom designed protector for that. So here's a side-by-side view comparison of the 4 sets that are available. So let's just go through those in a little bit more detail. So we've got the B base version, $65.95, E enhanced version, $75.95, F fully optioned, $85.95, and the EX exclusive version, $99.95. So in the base version, you're just getting 8 solid BRUs, mounting end caps only, molded end cone wires only. So it's designed for mounting in the bay with weapons attached. No wires are included in that one. Provide your own. The enhanced set has 9 fully detailed BRUs with mounting and end cap displays, and display end caps that should be. Molded end cone wires, designed for mounting in the bay with or without weapons attached. It has detailed end caps allowing for external display. Again, wires are not included. When I say wires, I mean both the flexible wiring for all of the electronic connections, as well as the long straight wires at the end of the section. F, the fully optioned, has both types of BRUs, solid BRUs and the detailed. That gives you the option to do whatever combination you want. It has mounting and display ends, dual rear cone options with molded end wires and without. So this is designed for mounting in the bay with or without weapons attached. Has detailed end caps to allow for external display, and optional building with real wires for the rear cone. Wires not included. The exclusive set has the same as the fully optioned, but it also includes wires. So this is 0.15 millimeter solder core. Now this is quite difficult to get. Smallest I can get regularly is about 0.3 to 0.5 mil solder core, so it's quite expensive. So we're supplying quite a bit of that in that set, and also 0.15 albium alloys nickel silver rod for the end cone wiring. That's 8 of those. And as I said, a 0.15 mil drill bit for cleaning out some of those holes and just making sure that the wiring goes through. Again, that set is designed for mounting in the bays with or without the weapons, or mounting externally. And optional building with real wires for the rear cone. Let's look at the actual parts. So these are the 3D printed parts in the base set. So the common parts to all of the sets are the center section, the front section, the front tray, the ECS pipes. These are the 4 that make up the square box, or the square that goes around, and then these are the other parts that make up connect the ring, the square section, to the individual control boxes. These are the end plates. As you see, they've actually got the little mounting lugs on them, so you can't see the details, but that's going to be mounted in the bay, so it's not a problem. These are the electronic boxes, the 4 boxes. Top, those are the 2 right, and that's the underneath. As you can see on here, they've all got little tiny handles. Every last little detail, nut and bolt, is reproduced. So if you can see it on the real thing, the details included in this. And these are the solid BRUs. As you can see, they're solid in the middle, so they're more robust, but the main structure is there to enable you to put your bombs on. It's actually got the holes in it that your lugs can go straight in, and for example, they fit the Eduard GBU 31s nicely. Enhanced version. So the difference here is the enhanced version has 9 BRU, 56 is the full detail ones. As you can see, the difference between them is that these have got all this juicy internal detail. Every last part is replicated. The end plates here, these two end plates, as you can see, they're the actual end plates. That's what they look like on the real jet. Fully optioned, that contains the same as the other one, but this time you've also got the solid BRUs, 8 of those. You've got the end cone without those wires molded on, so you can use wiring there yourself. The limited exclusion, that has the drill bit, especially designed by us, protector cap for the drill bit. That is actually, I think it's about, in the pit photo there, it's a 0.5, because the 0.15 is so tiny it hardly shows up, and they are quite fragile, so that's why we've provided this little end cap to cover the drill bit. That said, the drill bit is included as sort of a little gift in that, so because they're so delicate, we can't replace it if you break it. And that's just an example of the wire, the 0.15 solder and the 0.15 solid rod. Here is the actual components of it. So you've got a few rolls, enough to wire the whole front end, the 8 rods, and as you can see, the drill bit fits in this there. That just squashes on the end there nice and tight to keep it safe and secure for transit. But again, if you break that, it's so fragile, we can't replace that for you. As I said, it's more of a gift rather than a part that you're paying for. Here's a closer look at the solid BRUs. Both views. You can see we've got the little, these parts here is where some of the wiring hooks up to. The super detailed BRUs, again, every last detail in here. The squibs go in here, the connectors for the end. And one thing to note about all the parts is that the supports that are used for 3D printing have actually been designed into the part in Fusion to give you the easiest way of removing them and supporting them. Typically 3D parts have more of this sort of like a rod or pillar support. So some of these, let's have a look back here, going forward actually, we'll have different types of supports we've built in. I'll show you that in a second here. So you've actually got the pistons are built into the super detailed versions. If you want to put a weapon on there, or you want to show it with the piston not deployed, you can simply cut that off here flush with the base. You can actually see here you've got the lugs in the closed position here. Again, nice detail all the way through the center here as on the real thing. Okay, the front part of the actual rotary launcher itself. So this is the LAU 144. So this particular part here is one of the most complex parts on it because it has all of the wiring connectors. So these almost white looking pieces that are throughout this are the supports. This is 3D printed. This is the bottom of it, the plate. So these are all supports to be removed. You can even see here that you can see the little holes, the 0.15 millimeter holes for the wiring to go through. Little nubs here for the bottom to the bottom control box to mount on. This is the tray that sits on the top for the top one. And this is a locating lug here, and there's a locator underneath so that this can seat nicely on the front here on the other side of this, and this goes into the bottom of the top box. We've actually designed a part on the top here for you to hold. So because of the fragile nature of this part, while you're painting it and putting it together, we've suggested gluing it to a rod or something. This is just a metal hobby knife. I've just glued it to the end to give you a nice solid thing to hold on to while you're building it or cutting the supports off. And you've also got this part to hold the end, and then once you're finished, you're going to cut that off flush across the top there. The mount for the front actually sits in there. So we've tried to design the usability and ease of building and less chance of breaking it in, because this part in real life, well, you can see from the thumbs here how tiny it is. And all of these supports along here are the supports on the real thing that the wiring looms go through. This is the central part, so these holes here are where the BRUs go in, so that's the piston housings go straight into that, so that firmly seats that. These wires here go through to the end. This part there comes off to give you the little wires, so those wires there connect directly onto the side of each of the BRUs, and these are the end wires here come off there to connect to the end cone. So this is the end cone we're talking about. So those previous wires, these ones right here, they connect to the bottom of these here. So here's another example of supports being designed into the part. So here we can just, with a knife, just cut this part right here, and then you can snip this off the bottom there, along here, and that gives you that connector there to go right into. This is the ones where if you're choosing to use the metal rods, the 0.15 mil drill bit is for drilling these little tiny holes or cleaning them out along here and here and here and in the end there, so that the metal rod can go in as it is here. So you're basically replacing this resin rod that's molded into the part with a metal one. Up to you if you want to do that. Here's another look at the control boxes from both sides. Each of these connectors actually have a little hole in the end for where the wire goes into. So wherever there's one of those, there's a little hole in the end there. It can be further cleaned out with the tiny drill bit as well. There's grab handles, all the rivet details reproduced. So again, everything that's on the original is here, and they are 100% accurate to the real deal. The piping, so these four parts come off and they all fit into each other. So this end here fits into that end there to give you a square around. And then these pipes here, this is the parts in these, again, custom designed support structures to be able to make sure they arrive in one piece. And also that they can be removed and put together easily. The end parts, so they're just the ones for mounting in the Bombay. This is the one where you've got both the end parts here and here, so that's the front end, that's the rear end. These parts here cut off here, but then they have further parts inside here. So the surrounding supports here have been designed so that you can get that printed and cut off pretty easily. To facilitate that, what we're producing, there's the first three here, and they've all been done so far, but they're not all live yet, is a number of videos, detailed YouTube assembly videos, including how to remove the supports. Obviously, if you're happy to do it yourself, but because some of these supports are custom designed and they're so fragile, we've got various videos showing you exactly how to remove all the parts and prepare them for assembly for each of them. So we think that's going to be a big help. Alright, this is a test build that our good friend Glenn McCracken did. So have a look through these videos. Well, this you can see the detail that you're able to get in this. Various stages of building. There's a JASM included. They're the BRUs themselves as he's building them up. Lots of detail in there. That's a good one of the wiring. So he's used multiple sizes there. He's used the 0.15mm wiring, and for a couple he's used the 30mm. So you can use thicker wiring, but they won't fit through those holes that are only 1.15mm holes. We've done that to maintain the scale accuracy. The decals that Glenn have used are just from a spares decal sheet. I think we're off an F111 weapon set. There's no decals included with this. We've just not got that ability at this stage. There's mounted with a JSM 158. That is, oh, we'll just go back to that one here. This is the CBM, the conventional bomb module, that's also available from us and our good friends. Escapes me. I'll put it in the link in the description below. So that's the two bomb bays that Glenn's got here. Right, and last slide. Available to order from the beginning of May. So we're just finalizing the e-commerce site. The e-commerce site that we had up and running, we'd gone through all that process, and then just in the testing phases they decided they were going to migrate to a new platform. So to make it easier, we'll just have a link on bonefragments.com that will guide you to the e-commerce site. So we'll be taking orders in May, and shipping will start in early June. So we've already got probably about 30 or 40 sets fully printed up, ready to go. So we look forward to getting those out to you guys. So this has been a long project. It's required a lot of time and effort, investment in equipment, technologies. Until the 4K resin printers became available, we just couldn't get the detail in the BRUs and the end plates, the end sections to work. So now that we've got those available, we're getting them out to you. So guys, thank you for sticking with us through this. It's been a fairly longish presentation, but hopefully you all stuck around to the end to find out exactly what was going on. And leave any questions you've got in the comments. I'll go back to you, and we'll put any other questions up on the Facebook groups. And thank you very much. If you're not already subscribed to us, please do so. That way you'll get any further updates as they become available and other new products. Cheers guys. Thank you.